Hello, David Allman here, and I thought we'd try something a little different today. I usually plan my videos ahead. I know what I'm going to talk about. I kind of know today, but some days just don't work as well as others, and today's one of those days where Wes, my son, who's 4 months old, is not sleeping. He's not wanting to take a nap for some reason, and I started making a video and it just didn't work and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, you know what? I just want to hang out with you guys, and I want to talk to you a little bit about improvisation, real time. So grab your guitar, let's just play together and see what comes out. We'll just hang out and see if this new format is something that should continue or not. You can let me know as we go, but grab your guitar, we're just gonna hang out. And I can't find my pick. I'm gonna go to the, oh, there it is. All right, so my thought today is to talk about developing musicality alone when you don't have a backing track, when you don't have anyone to play with. What do you do? Or what do I do to try to become more musical? And this happens a lot. Usually, I have to start with a tone, with something that works well, and usually it's something that's dynamic, which means it's not full overdriven, but it's not clean either. So when I'm attacking the notes, I still get a range of tones. If I touch it lightly, and if I strike it stronger. A good test is to actually change pickups and see if the tone does change. And that's good. And then have some delay to fill in the space. So once you have that covered, you want to find some tools and tricks that are gonna use as many open strings as you can for the chord placement. So you already know some open chords, right? The E minor, for example. The C has some. D. You want to add as many open strings as you want, and what I would suggest is to experiment by moving these chord shapes. Here's a C. I moved it two frets higher. Doesn't matter if you know the name of that chord or not. What matters is to hear that it does work, and that's a shape that is musical. And you're going to try that, experiment with different. This is a G. I'm striking the 6th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, moving that to the 6th fret, same exact shape. That works too. So now we have 4 shapes to work with. And you're just kind of exploring your fretboard like that. And once you have a shape that you like, you're going to stay on that shape a little bit. For example, this one. And try to find some notes around the position of your finger by just experimenting and see how that sounds. And take notes of the notes that work and the ones that don't work so well. And you're trying to draw a shape around that. Gradually adding new notes and starting to phrase with that. So what I mean by phrasing is playing a few notes and responding to that. So a question could be a short musical statement that you're answering by imagining what kind of answer should I give, and usually an answer needs to give a clue as to what the question was. Kind of a like Jeopardy type of thing, where if I give you this as a question, an answer might be this. see it's related because I'm in the same area of the fretboard. I'm using some of the same notes. My question was second string, frets 5, 6, 8. And my answer kind of took some of these 3 notes in a different order. And then I added some details. Here's another example. This could be a question. Okay. 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on the first string, frets 7, 11, 9. And then on the second string, I've got fret number 9. So that's my question. An answer could be something like this. See the question? I used my question in my answer. Something that would not be related would be something like this. If this is the question, the answer could be this, but those two are too far apart when you're playing alone and when you're learning how to develop things. So it's almost like infinite improv. You start with an idea. Simple. I'm in A minor pentatonic. You leave a little space. So a space doesn't mean silence necessarily. You can stay there to formulate in your head the answer. That could be the answer. It's related because I'm in the same zone of the fretboard. I kind of echoed some of the note. And the cool thing is that your answer becomes the question that you need to answer. And that's what I mean by infinite. So you can start here as a question, answer that. That becomes the new question. So that's the question that you can answer this way. And try to keep your questions and answers kind of short. So there's no absolute set rule, but kind of short. A good way to start is to actually start your answer with the last note of your question. So that's your question. You're going to start your answer with that. Or with the last 2 notes. It's really important to try to anticipate what you're going to say, what you're going to play on your instrument. And try to avoid, when you're working on this, all the typical the licks that you've learned over and over. Because if you just rely on those licks that you've learned, these licks are, you can see them as short sentences that are outside of a context. Here we're really working in context, where we're answering our own questions. But if I throw a lick in there, I don't have the before and the after. So that's important. So that's one thing that you can do when you're playing alone. So using these open string chords as a basis. If a note doesn't quite work for you, change it. A lot of research. And then blending those open string chords with some questions and answers. And if you're asking, I'm not sure how to start a musical phrase like a question and an answer when I'm on a chord, super simple. Just pick a note of the chord. For example, this shape that we had, which was like the C major, move 2 frets higher. Just pick a note from that chord that you're actually playing. So in this case, I'm playing these 4 strings, strings 5, 4, 3, 2, on frets 5, 4, open, and 3. Any of these notes could be the starting point of an idea, and that idea is going to start where it should, or in the same key, because you're extracting these notes from your chord. That worked, right? Now if we have another chord, any of these notes could be the starting point of an idea. Now, another important aspect of playing is understanding basic theory, really basic stuff. A chord, let's take for example this A minor chord, the bar chord, is made of different notes, as you know. If it's a single note, it's not a chord, but you've got a chord here made of several different notes. These notes all have a different role within the chord, and that role is defined by looking at what that note that you're playing, if you isolate all the notes, that role is defined according to the root note. So in this case, we're going to take the lowest note, which is A. Consider that as the home base. All the other notes have their meaning depending on their relation to that note. So what that means is that this note, for example, which is in the chord, that's a fifth. Okay? It's the fifth of that note. An octave higher, but it's still the fifth. But if I just play that note alone, that's not a fifth. That's just a note. It's a fifth because I've got this in the back in the context of the chord. So that means that any note can have multiple function depending on what it's related to. So that means that if you're playing a phrase and you're landing on a note, that note could be anything you want. If you know your intervals, I could say that this note that I landed on, which is a 5th string, 7th fret, could be the minor third of something. So if you know your intervals, this note, the minor third below, it would be right here. So I could start a minor chord from here. That note could be, let's say, the major third of something else, the major third of that one. So now I can modulate by playing a major chord from here. So it's almost like a game of chess where you're playing some chords, taking a note of that chord to start an idea, do that question and answer type of thing. When you want to modulate, take a note and imagine that note in relation to something else. And from that something else, you build your chord. And obviously, you need to do this slowly because you want to still be engaged. You don't want to play and be the receiver of what's being played. In other words, you don't want your ears to hear what you're playing as if you were the audience. You want to break that cycle. Instead of your fingers doing something and you hear it, oh, that sounds cool because you're relying on muscle memory. No, you want to take control over your muscles. Your brain, your musical brain, or heart, or however you want to see it, inside, has to direct your music. So you're playing a few very short tempoed notes. And from there, I'm imagining, ba-da-bum, that's what I played. What could I do after that? Ba-da-bum, ba-dum. That's what I'm aiming for. Ba-dum. And then I don't have any ideas as to what comes next, so I'm going to repeat that. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum. Another useful trick when you're playing alone like that is to play micro chords, so chords with 2 or 3 notes, for example, and then play that in relation to an open string. And see how that responds. And then change that bass. And that's using that principle that a note by itself, it's just a tone, but if you play it in relation to something else, it takes another role. All right, so definitely not the edited video type, but I just wanted to do it today for fun. Wes is sleeping now, I think, so that's great. Thanks for watching this. I will see you next time, and let me know what you think. Maybe this is a new thing, just playing and sharing whatever comes to mind, and hopefully you got some tricks out of this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Until then, bye. Said you.